vet and says, you know what? My python has stopped eating. And the vet said, beware, because the python is preparing itself to eat you. And that's serious business. Lord, let us pray. Lord Jesus, tonight, let us remember the spirit of the python, that we would not be so overcome with winning a race or getting positions that we eat one another, that we consume one another with evilness and bitterness and slander. Let us remember that the spirit of the python is something that constricts us and sucks the very life out of us, Lord. Let us not let that happen to us, because at the end of the day, Lord Jesus, when this race is over, we still have to see each other. We still have to love each other. We still need to respect each other. And at this moment tonight, we pray over the spirit of the python that would consume us without us even realizing it, and cause us to hate one another within our own party. So in this precious name of Jesus Christ, we're praying for your spirit, that we not forget whose we are and that we belong to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks so much, Beverly. Please remain standing. Texas House Representative Mike Schofield will lead us in the pledge of the U.S. flag.
I don't have any python stories, so you just have to settle for the pledge. Please join me in pledging allegiance to the greatest country on the planet. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now to the greatest state in that nation. Whose hand? And now for that.
You broke it, you buy it. We need new batteries. Now, Harris County Clerk, standing up for re-election this year. We've got to get a re-election.
I'm so glad too. Fantastic election going on right now. And on next Tuesday, I encourage everyone to get trained for our electronic poll books, because we're rolling those out countywide, and we need you to get in training. So now, please join me as we pledge our allegiance to the greatest state in the whole United States and in all the world. Texas, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, thank you, Stand. Remain standing. Our own Josh Flynn will now lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave
All right, folks, moving along. Again, precinct chairs, please be seated. I'll ask the secretary, Deborah Reisinger, to certify that we have a quorum for this meeting.
Out of 507 precinct chairs, 154 present. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, congratulations. First order of business should be in your agenda. If you've got a packet with the resolutions and everything else in it, and the minutes as well, and I believe there are a couple of other resolutions that were handed out, but the minutes are from the November 2017 meeting on pages 2 and 3 of your packet. Are there any amendments to the minutes? Any amendments to the minutes? Go ahead, a chance to look at them. Any amendments to the minutes? All right, hearing none, minutes are approved as submitted. Thank you. Now call Treasurer Sidney Siegel up. We have for the Treasurer's report. We may need to dim the lights a little bit. There we go. Thank you. And this.
I'm technically challenged. Good evening. The good thing about you guys being able to see that is, unfortunately, I can't see my notes. I want to just highlight a couple things. I have 2 pages here. You have the balance sheet and income. Oh, thank you. God said there was light. Paul said there was. So, if you all remember, we're on a fiscal year end. Our year that we're in right now started July 1st. Yeah, 2017. We'll figure it out here. So revenues, I've just summarized. We have $390,431 in February. We haven't closed out that month. Political expenditures, almost $50,000. Events and fundraising expenses, $35,000. Of course, our largest expense is our payroll expense. All of our staff are political, with the exception of Lydia, my accounting office manager, and Kate, our fundraiser. Everyone else works strictly on campaigns. So now we'll see if I can move it forward. Just some highlights. Since the end of January through today, we've raised another $55,000. We have pledges as of today of $41,000. Cash in the bank as of today of $52,000. I did a comparison because each year there's always something unique about it, and we all know that we had Harvey, and we all know that this is the primary season. So I looked at the 5 months preceding the end of January for 10/1/15 through 1/31/16. 10/1/16 through 1/31/17 and 10/1/17 through 1/31/18. As accountants, we like to look at trends. So we had revenue 2 years ago during primary season, that time period, of $383,000, about $384,000. I took out the Lincoln Reagan dinner. The thing that number has is over $100,000 came in that we would normally not get because we had the Houston City Council and mayoral race in the runoff. Then you see last year, election year, for the presidential, we had almost twice the amount, $635,000, and this year we're at about $157,000. The reason for it, Harvey, we all know, it devastated our area. Every charity, the party, I know our candidates weren't able to get going on campaigning and raising funds, and we're still recovering from that. Anytime you have a contested chairman race, I don't care who's running, donors are not good. The donors slow down their donations to the party because they're out there supporting their candidates. and that's just the nature of the beast. And then the last item reason is we have a delay this year of the Lincoln Reagan dinner because we were waiting on getting a great speaker. So normally you would have had most of your Lincoln Reagan dinner income coming in. And with that, Mr. Chair, that's my report, if anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Treasurer Cindy Siegel? Any questions? Well, I appreciate all the incredible work Cindy does. She's a volunteer doing that as well, and does a lot of other things too as well for our party. So appreciate that she does a tremendous job. So thanks, Cindy, again. Y'all give a round of applause, Cindy. I want to move on to the Chairman's update. Update a few things that are going on and some news items. Some major news items of what's coming up very soon. First, you mentioned the Lincoln Reagan dinner. There was a lot of we had to change the date in order to get a great speaker. I don't know if y'all, I assume you heard, Steve Scalise, a true American hero, is going to be our featured speaker at the Lincoln Reagan dinner. So I'm looking forward to being a great event. It is on a Thursday. That was the only time that he was available. They're kind of busy in Washington these days, passing budgets and fighting over important things. So anyway, Steve Scalise will be here, and we'll have a great program. Encourage you all to sign up. And you may have seen there's a precinct chair discount if you identify a certain number of Abbott voters, or if you become a certified precinct chair as well. So we want to reward the grassroots work at the same time. So please all put that on your calendar, Thursday, March 22nd. It's going to be a great evening, and I think we'll have a good program there for you. And the biggest news is, I mentioned this at the last EC meeting, and maybe before that, but the lease on this place expires originally the end of this month, this week, in 2 days. So we all have to leave 2 days. Well, we saw this coming last summer and decided we needed to look into what our options were. We had acquired this lease from True the Vote that used to be here, for many years, back in 2014. That lease was their lease. It expires the end of this month. So we hired an agent who didn't really cost us anything. They get paid by our new landlord, or to see if we could stay in this location. That was the original idea. And so the agent did a great job scouring a large part of Houston, found a lot of suitable locations, ultimately found what we believe was a much better location, slightly bigger, not far from here, for less money. So that sounded like the fiscally responsible thing to do. The advisory board met on this starting in October. We visited the location. Joe Pennington had a lot of suggestions on some safety matters we modified. So the new location is at, let me skip ahead, 2501. Can you fix the it's kind of fuzzy here. Well, it's a fuzzy map. 2501 Central Parkway. Not far from here. I think it's off Mangum. It's near Mangum and Hempstead Highway. It is, rather than an industrial park like this, it's an office park. So there is parking, lighting, lots of parking, a lot of lighting, and you may notice over here, larger bathrooms. So that's always been a problem here. Obviously, when we took this space over, dealing with the bathroom issues, they've been doing a lot of reconstruction on the place the last couple of months since we signed the lease in January. Signed a 3-year lease, and they're redoing the bathrooms for ADA purposes, and it's going to be a much better location. The only difference is not a big warehouse space like this, but we do have good tall ceilings and a large space, and we're going to add some screens to the meeting space. So we have a meeting, everybody will be able to see what's going on. So we're looking forward to the move. We will be moving there after the primary. We didn't want to spend a lot of time between now and March 6th trying to move. So stay tuned for what is coming up. We can use a lot of help. I mean, we're all volunteers here, so we can use a lot of help packing materials up, moving things over, probably throwing some stuff away, but also figuring out what to do with the stuff we have here, some of which has been with the party for decades. So keep your mind out, your eyes out for that. In years, we're going to be looking for help on this. in the month of March after the primary. So I want to congratulate Lydia Elseth, particularly all the work she's done, our office manager, on getting this this new office space, taking a lot of work, and it's going to be a great improvement. So anyway, any questions about this? It's about 6 minutes from here. If you drove from here, it's out right up Hempstead Highway, off Mangum, in an office park right out there. So it's much easier to get to, I believe, particularly once 290 is finally finished. It's very, very close to 290, which may be this century. That's right. One other thing I want to make sure you all know about, this started at the end of the year. We released this. It's on the website. It's been sent out. Is a year-end report, an annual report of things that were accomplished last year. One of the biggest things we did was bring in Vlad Davidiuk in as our communications director. Vlad is back filming us, aren't you? In the back, doing a great job for the party. I mean, this enables us to really broaden the reach. There's some amazing information in there about the reach we now have in our messaging on the social media and every other way that we get our message out. I think he can tell you the statistics, and some of it's in here, how much broader a reach we now have on social media and in other ways than I know the other local Democrats, than the Democrats do, for sure. And this is continually expanding. Interesting statistic that's in there shows how people get their news now. There's a chart. This just comes from background information. In just 1 year, the percentage of people that get their news from TV went from 57% down to 50% in 1 year. So TV is declining as a source of information for a lot of voters. We also get so much more information online. So that's a big part of our presence. But anyway, if you would, please download that annual report. There's a lot of great work, a lot of useful information in there. Any questions about that? Good. You may have heard there's a primary going on. I was asked on the radio this morning about, well, everybody's hearing all these Democrats are crossing over into our primary. Well, I want to lay out some numbers that we have so far on the primary, and assure you that is not happening, certainly not in Harris County. With the parties are pretty much attracting their own voters, as has been the case here for many years in Harris County. So look at the numbers so far. This is through yesterday, the turnout. And so what it shows is these 2014 and then this year 2018, of course, gubernatorial years, and then the 2016 presidential year at this point in early voting where we were. So, of course, 2016 had a lot of folks come out for the presidential election, a lot heavier election day voting that year as well. But 2014 was the last gubernatorial year with a lot of statewide races, you may remember, in 2014 for almost every statewide office. And yet, we're outvoting that 2014 turnout this year, which I think is very impressive. In fact, we're 11% above where we were this time in 2014. So what this shows, we have Republicans very interested, very motivated to vote. To be sure, you may have heard the Democrats are turning out in big numbers as well. They're all convinced that that Harris County is no Democrats and that Ted Poe's seat is going to go to a Democrat. And right, exactly. It's not going to happen, is it? No. And we're going to make sure it doesn't happen. So they are turning out big numbers, but so are we. We're still about even with them. We're actually ahead of them still right now. So we can continue turning out our vote through the primary and well into November. But I just wanted to let you see some other breakdowns of who the voters are. We actually have folks that do the data analysis of the voters on a daily basis. And so we take a look at that. First, let's look at, there we go. 2016 was an interesting one. And this comes up with the talk of what's an open primary, you know, with the primary system we have where anybody can walk in and vote and either pick a party. So in 2016, this was the breakdown of the voters. Almost half of our voters, 46%, in our primary in 2016 had not voted in a Republican primary before. So we brought a huge number of folks to come vote in our primary, And I believe 93% of them had never voted in any primary. So these were folks that were general election voters coming to vote in our primary. And that was one of the great things we were able to do, is now capture and identify a lot more Republicans because they could come into our primary. And that's 150,000 voters that appeared in our primary for the first time 2 years ago. So where are we this year? This is a similar breakdown. It's hard to see, but basically this is an analysis of where we are so far, with about 35,000 voters through yesterday in the primary. This includes mail ballot and in-person voting. Those who had voted in 4 out of 4 primaries, which I'm sure is most of us here, constitute this chunk about a third of the primary voters so far. And then shrinking numbers going on around. But this is an interesting one. The ones who voted in, first of all, we have some people who are in 0 of 4 Republican votes. But on the breakdown we have on that, virtually none of those are Democrats. They're just new November voters or new voters. The interesting one is this one, which is people who voted 1 out of 4 primaries. 86% of them so far, their first primary was just 2 years ago. So a large portion of those folks we brought into the election for the first time in 2016 are coming back out this year. They're getting engaged in the process, and they're voting in our primary. So I think it's it shows the effect we have of having the primary we got and the candidates we got. And then we do the data crunching on how we rate all these voters. It's kind of hard to see down here at the bottom, but basically from 1 to 5, using the RNC rating of hard Republican to hard Democrat, 75% of are hard Republicans. 2% are hard Democrats, because their sister or their brother is voting in a Republican primary, running in a Republican primary, and they go vote for them. And it's pretty much the same way the other way. In fact, we looked at the Democrat numbers. About 3% of them are Republicans voting in their primary. So it's a very small number. There is no indication that the Democrats are voting in our primary, particularly because they have a lot of races on their side as well. So I wanted to give you that update on how the primary was turning. Are there any questions about these numbers? Well, we'll make this available to you. Anybody who wants to see it. But again, I'm very encouraged. I think with the turnout we're seeing in the primary, it's showing a lot of interest in the fall. There's no one district that's overwhelmingly predominating. Obviously, where we have heavily contested primaries, they're a little heavier. But these are folks all across the county, including in areas that don't even have much of a primary. They're still turning out to vote. So I think it's exciting. Republicans are coming out to vote in our primary, and they're ready to win in November. So thank you. Okay, with that, unless there are any questions, haven't seen any, can we put the lights back on? And now it's time for committee reports. Okay, we have several committee reports to be given tonight. Again, under the agenda rules, there are some written reports in your packet, and the only ones who are giving oral reports are ones with some kind of call to action or some information you need tonight. So first is Ralph Byte, Chairman of the Vacancy Committee. Come on up, Ralph.
Good evening, fellow precinct chairman. Your occupancy committee has been back on the job since our last report of November 13th. Over the last quarter, we held our regular second Monday of the month meetings on December 12th, 2017, January 8th, 2018, and February 12th, 2018. Tonight we have another group of individuals as diverse as Harris County to recommend for your approval. But before I introduce our recommended candidates, I wish to express mine and our full committee's deep sadness in having lost one of our truly outstanding members, the late, great John Taylor. There's a hole missing over there in SD 15 where John used to sit, and we really miss him. I know many of you from SD 15 and the entire county will remember what a special guy John was. John was probably one of the finest examples of a Christian man I have ever known. He was undoubtedly one of the best interrogators of a precinct chair applicant that has ever served on vacancy. He sought truth and conviction. He was passionate, and he was as fervent a believer in life beginning at conception as anyone I've ever known. You could see tears well up in John's eyes whenever he got on the subject of aborted black babies. That's the late, great John Taylor. Those of us who were lucky enough to know him, I'm going to need some light over here. Those of us who were lucky enough to know John all miss him terribly. Christians, I'm sure Jesus has a special assignment for John in heaven, and one day I hope to make the cut to see him again. Okay, before I get too sentimental up here, on to our precinct chair candidates. We have, go up with the lights now. We have 2 veteran precinct chairs reporting back for duty. That's really appropriate language for a Navy man, isn't it, Gig? One who had to take care of his wife in declining health over a number of years, covering a great LaPorte area precinct, and one transferring precincts because of a happy new marriage event. We have some fresh new millennials ready to serve in downtown and very diverse Montrose area precincts, and 2 near the Galleria. We have at least 2 applicants who have faithfully served under a retiring chair, or in fact a chair who died on his post. They have observed and supported their predecessors and now are ready to assume roles of leadership. We have an enthusiastic resident of the Spring Branch area who started out as a Democrat but realized his values lined up with those of the Republican Party. He hopes to persuade many of his Hispanic neighbors to come to the same realization. And finally, we have a guy who's entering his midlife who's just been working hard to make a good living in the oil patch. He now wants to better support many of our fine limited government constitutional conservative candidates by encouraging greater voter participation in his Northwest area neighborhood. I hope as you have an opportunity to read the bios in your handouts on these fine applicants, you can get a sense of where they come from in their lives, and for some of our veteran precinct chairs who live nearby, that you may introduce yourselves, offer guidance and friendship as we install them into the brotherhood and sisterhood of fellow Harris County Republican precinct chairs. Before I introduce our recommended candidates, I'd again like to recognize our hardworking and very dedicated committee members. These committee members always seek to ask the pertinent questions that are relevant to each of our unique applicants. By SD, our fellow committee members are Marcy Fessler, SD4, who also serves as secretary, Diane Pearson, SD6, Melissa Rowell and me, SD7, Mike Robertson, SD11, Beth Aiken, SD13, Committee Chairman Rolando Garcia, SD15, and we talk about the missing chair over there, and at-large appointee Buffy Ingersoll, also of SD15, and Ann Lee and Bob Sumacek of SD17. Thank you all, committee members. Mr. Chairman, we wish to recommend the following candidates as Harris County Republican Party precinct chairs. And when I call your name, please come up here and join us in front of the stage. David Tanyan, Ana Coelho, Vito Garcia, Jennifer Nessick, Marco Roberts, Michael Brudu, newlywed Heather Jameson, Admiral Gig Romfeld, Shane Stankiewicz, Phyllis Tackard, and Regina Recinos.
Thank you very much, Ralph. So the committee has recommended that this wonderful batch of applicants and future successful precinct chairs, I hope, be installed as precinct chairs now. Are there any questions? Any debate? Okay, all those in favor of approving these applicants as precinct chairs, effective immediately, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. None. The ayes have it. Congratulations, you're all now Harris County Republican Party precinct chairs. All right. Now, stay up here. We now have Judge Paula Goodhart, who's right here in front of me. She's going to administer the oath of office.
First off, I want to say thank you for your commitment to the Republican Party as an office holder and a candidate. We couldn't do it without your help and your support, not only during election time, but all the rest of the time as well. So congratulations, and thank you again for your willingness to serve. If you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of precinct chair of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, Judge. Judge Paula Goodhart, she's on the ballot in November, folks. So she's one of the reasons we have to turn out and elect 75 judges this fall. And thanks, Ralph White, and the entire committee. And precinct chairs, new precinct chairs, you now would be seated where your Senate district is, if you know where that is. Anybody have any questions where your district is? Welcome. Thanks for being here. I believe we have a report from the next committee. Report will be the local government committee. Is Chairman Dan Comstock. Chairman Dan Comstock, calling Dan Comstock. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, local government committee chair Dan Comstock, a hard-working committee here. Give him a hand.
Thank you very much. I promised David I wouldn't read the report. It was going to take 20 minutes. But that's not the issue here. You have the report. I would encourage you to read it. I would encourage you to read it. Thank you, Paul. I would encourage you to read it because it kind of describes our situation. So I'm just going to hit a couple of elements of it. We have identified 24 rather substantial subjects in local government that affect our lives that we need to address ourselves to. 24 subjects. One that we're on right at this moment is TERS and related management type operations. Sort of government under the government. And we recently had a mayor of a small city, Jersey Village, come and tell us why they put in a TERS. And we are coming to grips with the idea that there may very well be a good reason to have one now and then. And we're also under the strong impression that maybe sometimes it's not going so well for us, the citizens. However, in order to actually know what we're doing, it's taking some research. It's taken some real research time, getting on the websites and so forth. So this is what I want to ask you to do, is remember there are 24 substantial issues that we wish to deal with. And as Paul says, we're not going to do all that next year. But we do wish to deal with these. In the TERS alone, there's 24 TERS districts, something like that. I may not have the exact number. It's that kind of magnitude. In this area, 24. Some of these are rather substantial and spend quite a bit of money. It's up to us, the citizens, to figure out if this is going well for us or not. In the local government committee, we have 10 very hardworking people active. I'll include myself as one of those 10. We really need to be effective. We need more people. They don't need to be elected to the committee. They need to just be people that would be willing to help us. Spend some of our time, your time, discretionary, much of it scheduled strictly by you. Do it in the background. But we need research. That's what we need. Delve into these. Attend a few meetings. Look up their charters. Find out when they meet, which is often, it turns out, a pretty hidden matter. We have in the back, Kelly Horsley has a table set up back there with a map of the TERS in the area. And we would like you to go before you leave tonight, and some of you sign up to help us. And just say, I'll do something, give me something to work on. Right now, we're working on the Montrose district just because it's a very big issue even in the news right at the moment. Also so that 10 of us can get somewhere with it. But we need some of you to help us. And I know it's not like you don't have much to do, but you really do. So I want to implore you, read this document to get a sense of what local government is trying to attend itself to. And then join in and be a part of it, because we all live here, as you well know. That's my main mission for making the report. We're not supposed to get verbal reports normally, right? But I want to. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. Because I want to implore you to do this and to come in and join us in our work. Other issues are like things like city charters. And do you think the city of Houston might be able to someday consider a charter that look like this? The mayor is not a dictator. The mayor is a mayor. And we have a city council. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? We can actually do that. We can actually do that. We can do it by becoming more knowledgeable and then taking the steps to communicate. And believe you me, what we are talking about resonates. The things that we're interested in doing resonate with the people. And by the way, that's good messaging for the Republican Party, to be on the side of issues that everybody can readily relate to. Okay. How are we doing on time, sir? Oh, okay. I just want to say we are short a few of the elected. We have 3 vacancies on our committee. And you know who you are. You know the SDs. So it would really be good if you would get those filled by appointment or by election or whatever that process is. We're going to ask, by the way, because we envision having some activities, we're going to formally ask the party if they would in future allow local government committee to present resolution at the time of making the report. I know we're not really doing that right now, so we're just asking. We don't know if you're going to say yes or not, but we're asking. We would like to do that so that it's in context, so that when we're talking about something, and then we right then vote on that. And then, of course, all the other resolutions later. So we're checking the rules and so forth, but we would like your permission, first of all, with that idea. So I'm going to yield the balance of my time, Mr. Chair. Oh, there's...
Thanks so much, Dan. Committee is a hard-working committee. You have a lot to do, so we need your help. And a lot of important issues that touch everybody's lives in a direct way. Now, I believe we also have a report from the Training and Development Committee. Is that correct? So I'm told. So Charlotte Lampe, chair of the Training and Development Committee. Let's give her a hand for them. Just had a big event this past weekend, the social media training. Very fun.
Hey there. Are you glad to be here? Has anybody been busy this week? Are you having fun? Don't you just love primaries? Well, I'm here to give you a report on training and development. And on February 24th, we conducted a training session with my good buddy here, Jeff Larson, on the precinct convention process. How many people have never led a precinct convention? Okay. All righty. Well, now you have all the information at your fingertips. For anybody that really wants to go through and look at some other, just to get something else from that point of view, you can go to texasgop.com, and that will give you some more information. That's the Republican Texas Committee, or Texas Republican Party of Texas. That one, you can go check up there, but I'm always a home girl. I'm seeing you, Scott. And so our next training event is going to be for new precinct chairs, and that's going to be in late March. And then we'll have another training for a fast track with Abbott University, and that will be again in late March or early April. Now, there's also going to be some specific classes to address what we've been doing for the social media class. We had that one, and we're going to do that on an individual needs basis, so get back with us. Now, I'm going to ask this, that why am I not telling you any dates, you ask? Are you asking me why I'm not telling you any specific dates? I am so glad you asked me that, because one of the things that I want you to do, how many people look at their Facebook page every day? Okay. Oh, you bunch of people, come on, you look at it all the time, because I've been fighting with some of you people out there, so I know you do. I mean, we've been really keyboard warriors out there. So anyway, but the reason that I'm not telling you the specific dates is because I'd like you to check out HCRP website as much as I do, so you can check out. We've got some great classes that are going in there, some ways to really pump up the reactions that you're getting from your precinct, get those people motivated, because in November, I can tell you, we're going to need them. Is that true? Okay. And so what I'd like you to do when you go and check the HCRP website all the time, I'd like you to RSVP so we can know when you're coming and how to be prepared for you. And finally, I'd like to address the committee chairs tonight, that before we even know it, we're going to be at the organizational meeting. And may I ask the committee chairs to outline what we do as chairs? That means, because a lot of people, when they come into a chair position, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what, there's no outline that we have. And we'd like to go into have that outline and actually tell people what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, because everybody knows what our mission statement is. But let's clarify what we're doing, and also for those people that want to join that committee, so we can outline what kind of commitment they're making and what they can expect from us as direction, and how they can really contribute and make it a great experience. Because I tell you what, being on one of the committees and being here with the committee with y'all has been one of the special times of my life. Thank you very much. And I'd like to say thank you to the Training and Development Committee. Stand on up. These are the people that spend a lot of time looking there for you. All right, thank you very much. And now,
thanks so much, Charlotte. Thank you, the committee, again, for all the hard work. They're working year-round to make everybody more effective. Thank you, Charlotte. Thanks, committee. I believe our fourth and final committee report will be ballot security. Army Ranger Alan Vera. Hey, Alan.
Good evening, thanks. Will all the members of Ballot Security please stand so we can thank you for the last 3 months of work? Hold your hand up. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in the second week of early voting for the 2018 primary. Every Republican position in every early voting poll is filled thanks to Jerry Schrader. She's probably not here tonight, but a big thanks from Jerry for handling that load. Thank you, Jerry. Next Tuesday is the primary election date. An incredibly high number of precincts need to be filled. As of 4:30 today, with the county report, we are within 2 places of having every single place filled. The lady who has led that has worked for the last 50 days 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, on the phone, making sure every spot is filled. Pam Joyce, please stand so we can thank you. Back on January 11th, with ICE coming down, we still held our biannual election worker appreciation event at Trinity Mendenhall. Despite the bad weather, we had 170 election workers show up to claim their certificates and commit themselves again to working to keep elections free and fair in Harris County. It was a great event. A couple of other small items. On February 12th, I was asked to be the featured speaker for the Northeast Tarrant Tea Party. Their monthly meeting has 240 members every month. I spoke, of course, about ballot security, election integrity, and in the audience that night is the new incoming chair of the Tarrant County Republican Party. His name is Darrell, I'm not mispronouncing it, D-A-R-L, Darrell Easton. He's a good old cowboy. He heard the ballot security message, approached me afterward, agreed to contact. 24 hours later, he sent me a request for our bylaws and all of our paperwork that govern ballot security. I passed it on. That's over my pay grade, so I asked the Chair Simpson and Ben to take care of that. Within 10 minutes, Paul had sent him all the information he needed. He replied saying that by July, Tarrant County would have a ballot security committee for the Republican Party. Last Thursday, I was asked to testify. I was the only volunteer asked to testify as an invited witness to the Senate Select Committee on Election Security. They heard from election officials across the state, they heard from lawyers and prosecutors, and they heard from academia, some guy here at Rice who thinks that we have to go back to paper ballots to protect our election. Senator Hughes, who chaired the committee, purposely made me the last person to testify in the invited testimony. I'm sure you know, I was very politically correct and very delicate in my comments. So the 8 members of the Senate panel have a bunch of new laws and bills to write for next session. Texas has one of the best election laws and systems in the country. We have a long way to go to be good. We're adequate, we're not good. And so we laid out exactly what has to change and what laws they got to pass and modify. We'll get there. I may ask you for some help once the legislature reconvenes. Last item before the action steps. At the last regular session, we passed a wonderful bill that took mail ballots out of nursing homes. After every election, the Secretary of State gets thousands of complaints. 90% of those complaints concern fraud with mail ballots at nursing homes. Duh. Well, the ballot harvesters in the Valley have to drive around and meet people and steal ballots out of mailboxes. In the nursing home, it's all done in the mailroom. You do the mail ballot application from the mailroom. You get the ballots back, guess where they arrive? At the mailroom. You vote each ballot, guess where? At the mailroom. And you send them back from where? The mailroom. We call it ballot harvesting catered. We got the bill passed, and then there was a lobbying effort by the Texas Association of Election Administrators to have it repealed in a special session. They told a bunch of lies, and they succeeded in fooling people in Austin, and the bill was repealed 60 days after it went into effect. So we began an open records request campaign. We got every false letter that was sent in to Austin from every election administrator, and then we asked them for their copies of everything they sent, so they know we've got them. On March 14th, miraculously, I've been asked to meet with the TAEA in San Antonio on March 14th for a couple of hours to try to work things out. So we'll see how it goes. If not, we may eliminate the position of election administrator in Texas over the next couple of sessions. Last item. You've got precinct conventions coming up. You've got SD conventions coming up. I need your help. People, November's going to be a bloodbath. The Dems are lining everything up. Okay? It's all being played out. If you haven't followed the games, the Dems didn't appoint people to work the election next Tuesday and try to blame Stan Stanner for not doing it. We know better. We know it's their job to appoint the workers just as we appoint ours. The games and the gamesmanship is on. as I've told you before, the greatest threat to election integrity in Texas is Democrats at a polling place with no adult supervision. We have to get out. Please, at your precinct convention, at your SDs, talk it up. We've got to send out an army of election workers in November to make sure that none of the 640 Democrat precincts in Harris County does not have a Republican present to make sure the election is fair. Let's do this. Thank you all. Good night.
Thanks so much, Alan, and the whole committee, all the hard work that they do. Pam, Joyce particularly, and Jerry Schroeder done tremendous work recruiting all those workers. So we need to keep doing this. We always need help doing that. So they can always use, the committee can always use volunteers to help get that done. It's a working committee, but they're critical to our electoral success. We're about to move on to new business. I think we're concluded with committee reports. Unless any other committee that I didn't know about had a report. Two quick announcements before we move into new business. One is, been asked tonight about precinct convention materials. Those of you, of course, will be getting packets. Those of you who are going to be conducting a precinct convention, you will, if you're also an election judge, you will turn those you can turn those materials in after, the forms you fill out at your convention that night at the place where you turn in your election returns as well. You do not have to bring it back here that night. You just turn it in. We'll have somebody at each of those locations taking all the precinct convention materials. If you're not an election judge and you have precinct convention materials, I believe we'll be able to pick them up, have them delivered to the satellite offices. Is that right? So we'll get that information to you. We'll make it as easy as possible to get those materials in, because there is a deadline, to get your precinct convention records in time for the ST conventions, which will be on March 24th. And the other thing I want to mention is you'll be hearing soon, I've already talked with the Senate District Chairs, we're going to be setting up a recruiting task force around the county. Particularly folks that have been out recruiting precinct chairs in their areas. Curtis McKinley recruited 4 of them recently in his neighboring precincts. Did a tremendous job. And you can sometimes be the most effective recruiter in your area rather than somebody from elsewhere in the county. So if you're interested in doing that, keep your eyes open, your ears open. You'll be hearing about that soon as we set up that task force heading into this year, so we can continue growing the Army that we have on the ground to keep Harris County Republican. So with that, we are now ready for new business, and particularly, are there any resolutions? The chair calls on David Riddle.
Chairman, thank you. Do I need a microphone? Yeah.
And for those of you who are new to this, a few rules. We have some standing rules that govern debate here. Please, we'll get you the floor mic. Always state your name and your precinct so the secretary can have that in the records, in the minutes. Address the chair, not another member. And the debate on any one matter is limited to 3 in favor and 3 against, alternating 1 minute per speaker. And if we run out of somebody on one side, then that ends the debate. So, with that, Mr. Riddle.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for recognizing me and spelling out the rules. Hello, my name is David Riddle, Precinct 114. Mr. Chairman, I do have a friendly amendment to the resolution that was passed out. It says, resolution setting the time and place for 2018 Republican Precinct. I need to change that to Senatorial District Convention in Harris County, Texas.
You want another?
Yeah. You want to dim the light?
The one submitted to the Secretary said Senate District. The one that's printed says Precinct, FYI.
Folks, this was separately handed out. It wasn't in the packet. So it was... This is what we're required to do under state party rules. If we're having conventions in the districts, you have to identify the location. And can we dim the lights? People can see it.
Can you turn up the lights on the projector?
Well, there we go. So, Mr. Riddle, the resolution you're submitting is for Senate district conventions instead of precinct conventions, correct?
Correct. May I continue?
Yes, and the other part of the rules, I know you know this, but for the new folks, when you read a resolution, all you read is the be it resolved portions and not all the whereas. So folks can read that part. Go ahead, proceed.
Be it resolved that the 2018 Republican Senatorial Conventions in Harris County, Texas shall open registration at 8 a.m. Saturday, March 24th, 2018, and shall convene at 9 a.m. at the following locations for each SD provided below. SD 4, The Overlook, 20114 Pinehurst, Texas, Atascocita. SD 6, Baytown Community Center, 2407 Market Street in Baytown. Senatorial District 7, Champion Life Center, 3031 FM 2920, Spring, Texas. SD 11, Central Baptist Church, 210 West X Street, Deer Park, Texas. SD 13, A-Leaf Hastings High School, 4410 Cook Road, Houston, Texas. SD 15, Landrum Middle School, 2200 Ridgecrest Drive, Houston, Texas. SD 17, Stafford High School, 14555 Fern Drive, Houston, Texas. SD 18, Roberts Road Elementary, 24920 Zug Road, Hockley, Texas. And it is further resolved that in the event of uncontrollable or unforeseen emergency circumstances cause any location designation above to cease being available for the SD convention on March 24th, 2018, the county chair and the respective senatorial district chair may by agreement set a new location and give notice of the new location as required by law and rules of the Republican Party of Texas. That it be resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be provided with every senatorial district chair's convention supplies, respectfully submitted by all unanimous your SD chairs of Harris County: Pamela Joyce, David Riddle, Jim Hodesy, Scott Bowen, Rolando Garcia, Alice Reckwick, Elizabeth Aiken, and Rex Teeter. Teeter. Another friendly amendment: Ridgecrest is spelled incorrectly. That was not pointed out by this Aggie brain, by the way. So, thank you very much, Ken.
Okay. Is there a second? Yes, ma'am?
The name is Beth, not Betty Word.
So it's Beth. All right. Clint Moore seconded. Is there any discussion about the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. The Central District Conventions are now set March 24th. Just so you know, that some of these locations were the same as 2 years ago. Some removed due to flooding and whatnot. So the locations are proceeding. They spent a lot of time finding all these locations. So hopefully this will continue. A lot of participation to be out having the events out in the district. Chair recognizes Bunny Lugo. Can get a mic for a second.
Bonnie Lugo, Precinct 223. I'd like to put for consideration the resolution that was in your packet regarding Chris Daniel. And there is a bit of housekeeping on it. Beth Aiken from 297 needed to be added in the submitted. But basically...
Can you just read the result?
Yes, sir. Therefore, be it resolved that the Harris County Republican Party of Texas recognizes the outstanding job Mr. Chris Daniel has done, and be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all commissioners, Houston's mayor, Texas governor, Texas lieutenant governor, and all Republican judges.
Is there a second? Second by Alice Reckwick. You want to speak to your motion?
In the court system, we have had a challenge. We have in one building what was meant for a few courts, we have all our courts. And it has been very interesting. It's taken a lot of work to have family and civil and at law and criminal sharing the same building. And we've had to overcome some problems, elevators not working, cafeteria being flooded. It's just the dynamics of having jury duty and everything else, and I think Chris has done an outstanding job. He has an opponent, and I think it would be good for this body to recognize him.
A Democrat opponent.
Yes, sir.
There's anyone to speak against the resolution? Anyone speak against the resolution? If no one to speak against the resolution, the debate is closed. All those in favor of the resolution recognizing...
Motion to amend?
What's your motion?
For all commissioners and all Republican judges, insert Harris County commissioners and all Harris County Republican judges. We don't need to send this to every Republican judge statewide. We don't need to send it to every county commissioner statewide.
So you're clarifying this is Harris County we're dealing with. Commissioners, is there any objection to making that amendment? Anyone else? Okay, well, consider the amendment made. We'll clarify it's Harris County. Good, thanks. 253 counties we don't need to mail to. Right. Is anyone else, given that as amended, does anyone to speak against the resolution? Seeing none, put the vote to you. The body of the resolution recognizing the excellent performance of Harris County District Clerk Chris Daniel. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. The resolution is passed. Chair recognizes Scott Bowen.
Mr. Chairman, Scott Bowen, Precinct 416. I move to pass the resolution endorsing Jeff Larson for CCISD Board of Trustees, Position 4.
Is there a second? From Mike Robertson. You want to speak to your motion?
Sure.
Could you read the resolved portion?
Yes. Therefore, be it finally resolved that the Harris County Republican Party endorses Jeff Larson in the race for Position 4th on the Clear Creek Independent School District Board of Trustees.
Okay, do you want to speak to the motion?
Sure. Jeff Larson, I think a lot of us know him already. He's a longtime precinct chair, as in a long time before I was born. He is a great fiscal conservative, and we need it on that board. The incumbent he's running against voted in the Democrat primary in 2016, the Republican primary in 2014, and the Democrat primary in 2012. So that does happen, and she's not a Republican. So we definitely need to win this race, and I think Jeff Larson is the guy who stepped up to the plate to do it, and he's going to be a great candidate and do a great job on the board.
Okay, is there anyone to speak against the resolution? This is the resolution endorsing Jeff Larson, who's standing right back there. You want to speak against it, Jeff? No, okay. Point of order, yes, sir.
We cannot hear you.
Can somebody bring the mic? Because you... No.
Friendswood, like west of I-45.
Geography question.
Yeah,
okay.
Southwest.
Is anyone to speak against the resolution? Seeing no one, I'll put it to you for a vote. All those in favor of the resolution endorsing Jeff Larson say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Jeff Larson is endorsed. Thank you. Congratulations. Chair recognizes Steve Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve Williams, Precinct 476. I'm here to introduce a resolution supporting closed primaries in Texas.
Is this one we have in the packet?
This is one that I understand is where we tried to get in the packet, but it did not make the trip.
No, there's one in the packet on the back page.
The one that's on the packet is not what was submitted. So what I would like to do is introduce this from the floor, and I'll do the be resolves and all that.
Okay, you need 10 signatures on it, or submit it 10 days in advance?
15.
Okay, well, we don't have a copy of that?
I have a copy right here.
I know, but the secretary would need one. We'd need one to show.
Sure. Sammy, you got any extra copies? You don't? Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and pull back, and I'll make some copies, and I'll bring them up to you.
Well, that gets considered. Was Chair, next, is there another resolution to be proposed? Yes, sir. Tom Ziggs. There's been a motion to adjourn. It's seconded.
We have the motion to adjourn is a privileged motion. It's not subject to, he can't deny it.
No. No, he's not interrupting. That was the motion, and it was seconded by Tom Bazan. Okay. Okay, there's been a motion by Tom Ziggs to adjourn, seconded by Tom Bazan. This is not a debatable motion. All those in favor of adjourning say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. I'd say the nays have it. The motion fails. Okay, was there another resolution?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution should have been forwarded. If you look at the attachment to that email you're looking at, that has it.
That wasn't what was submitted before the meeting. There was the resolution that was submitted was ultimately submitted as in the packet. You have the resolution? Okay, is it? Have order here. Is this resolution that you've submitted? Steve Williams? Steve Williams? Is this resolution you've submitted now?
Yes, sir.
That you're proposing?
Yes, sir.
All right, can you, resolution supporting closed primaries in Texas, can you read the be it resolved?
Yes, I can, Mr. Chairman. Therefore, be it resolved.
Wait a second.
That the Harris County Republican Party recommend closed primaries, and that the Harris County Republican Party support legislation that will implement closed party primaries with the appropriate adherence to state law. And this has been respectfully submitted by 15.
Okay, is there a second? Second, Tiffany? Yep. All right, you want to speak to your motion, Mr. Williams?
Yes, I do. I think this is simply something that we should carry on through our convention process this cycle and get it up to our legislative priority and hammer this through with state business. This is to clean up the problem that we have. We should start addressing this. And if it's something that's already in the platform, then it needs to be given a nice push again from this county.
Okay. So anyone want to speak against the resolution?
I wanted to amend. I wanted to make a motion to amend it to the language in the packet accepting the second bullet. So I wanted to advance because it is fundamentally the same amendment.
I'm sorry. What are you trying? You're trying to amend the resolution Steve Williams just submitted? That's what's before the vote.
The one he submitted and the one on the screen are...
That's not it, right.
Are
There's a different one. Do you have the one that he submitted? We don't have it to screen. Let's just take that off there. Okay, there it is.
Thank you for making clear what's being...
Are you moving to amend this, Daniel?
I withdraw my motion.
Okay. So is anyone ready to speak against the resolution? That's still on screen.
I am.
Yes, ma'am. That's what the debate can be about. This is their resolution. So, Bianca Garcia, you want to speak against the resolution?
I'm going to speak against a resolution on this. I'm Bianca Gracia, Precinct Chair 0352. I work in engagement. This concerns me because I have been working with the Hispanic evangelicals who have not ever been knocked on before, and I have been trying to recruit them to come into our party. Some of them have not known what we stand for, more or less even been involved. So if we close the doors to them and they were known Democrats, how inviting are we? That's why I'm speaking against it. And because if you really want to keep this state red, you better start looking at the Hispanics, because we are the majority minority.
Case, come and speak for.
Scott Bowen speaking in favor.
Precinct number.
Precinct 416. So the definition. The definition of a closed primary is one that only Republicans can vote in. So in a closed primary state, you register with the party. You register with either Republican or Democrat. A lot of times it's on the day of the election, and then that is the primary you vote in. In an open primary state, which is what Texas currently is, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you can vote in any primary you want. And so what closing the primary would prevent is it prevents Democrats from voting in the Republican primary in order to harm the Republican Party. And there is evidence that that happened. Even on the graph that we saw earlier today, 5% of the people who have voted in our Republican Party in this county are former Democrats who have never voted in a Republican primary. So if we want to make sure that we are electing good Republican candidates who have our best interest in mind, and they're not Operation Chaosing us, then we need to close the primary.
Okay, time. Anyone else speak against the resolution?
Bruce Baker, 26. I'm against it. I think it's a solution for a problem that we don't have. It's much worse. This is a much worse solution than the problem. There's going to be a lot of unintended effects to this, and it looks like it's just a lot of mess, a lot of trying to create an organization. Frankly, I think Texas is a state where we try to be free. We try to allow people to have self-restraint, and we don't need to legislate self-restraint. I think that we can do it on our own. 5%, if there is 5%, and that's a number that's thrown out there. Some people are doing it because they've changed parties, perhaps. We don't know why they're voting in the Republican primary. Or like he said, some people have a friend that they want to vote for. It's not like they're trying to hurt somebody. I doubt that they are, and I doubt 5% can do that. So thank you.
All right. And we'll have time for one more speaker in favor of the resolution.
I'd like to revise my motion to amend now that I have the current text. Motion to amend. I'd like to strike closed primaries in both lines and say to replace it by nomination by caucus or convention. Strike closed primaries and insert nomination by caucus or convention.
Is there a second? Amendment fails for a second. Okay. Now there's still time for a third speaker in favor of this resolution for closed primaries. Can you scroll it up a little bit more? Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. Does anyone else be a third and last speaker to speak in favor of the resolution? Seeing none, debate is closed. And I'll put the resolution to you for a vote. And we're voting on the resolution that's on the screen, that was not in the packet. So all those in favor of this resolution supporting closed primaries in Texas say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay. Nays have it, the resolution fails. Is there any other business? Any other resolutions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I would like to move the adoption of the resolution was not in the packet. However, copies should be under the seats, and the secretary has a copy.
We have really small print.
Yeah, really small print. Resolution to demand public hearings and regional discussions on flood mitigation by local citizens before new land use powers and taxing powers or revenue allocations are sought by officials of local government.
That's a long one. You want to read the whereases?
The whereases only. No, not the whereases.
I'm sorry, not the whereases. I'm backwards.
But,
Don't read the whereases. Resolved.
Resolved. The Judge Emmett's 15-part plan be submitted to broad public vetting before the 2019 legislative session via town halls, civic, business, and trade association meetings, political club presentations, etc., before any further action for water management is taken, finalized, funded, or committed to, which include newer expanded land use controls, tax hikes or increased tax burden, issuance of bonds, appeals to state and federal officials for new taxing authority or additional government-controlled property, and vendor commitments, contracts, besides research, data collection, and dispersing information on flood rates. And resolved that the Harris County Republican Party also urges Harris County legislators to resist requests from office holders, business and civic leaders in Harris County to increase land use controls exercised by elected officials or to reallocate tax revenues or boost the tax burden on Harris County residents or to authorize elections that would put such powers into the hands of local government officials until there is a lengthy and thorough vetting by residents of such proposals, and resolved that upon approval of this resolution will be an email to elected officials of Harris County, City of Houston.
Is there a second? Seconded from Donald Lavoie. What's your precinct number? 397. But you'd like to speak to your motion?
Indeed,
resolution.
Indeed, I would. This is, first thing I want to say is, I'm a strong supporter of Ed Emmett. He's a great guy. But the problem here is I think he's got the cart before the horse. He's got a vision and a plan, but it is very sweeping. It affects all of us. Has the power to tremendously affect the way we, local government and the people, interface with each other. There's a tremendous opportunity here for new land use controls for additional taxes. All this stuff might be part of the solution, but we need to slow down a little bit. We need to have citizen input, and we need to be able to look at this and yell stop before we get run over.
Okay. Does anyone to speak against this resolution?
I have an amendment to this.
Name and precinct chair.
Betty Avery, precinct chair, 398. Where it says, resolved that the Harris County Republican Party also urges Harris County legislators. I would like to amend that to state that the Harris County Republican Party also urges Harris County and surrounding county local, state, and legislative officials, local, state, and federal, to work together to provide, tell me if I'm talking too fast, a regional plan to provide a solution. Did you get that?
I don't think we did. Do you have it written out?
No, I'm speaking from knowledge here.
Okay.
Also urges Harris County.
You're in the paragraph that says resolved that the Harris County. Go back up.
Republican Party also urges Harris County.
You're right here, right?
State and federal government authorities to work together to provide.
Slow down. He's a fast typist. Government authorities to work
together to provide a regional plan for Harris and surrounding.
Wait. Would you remove the language that's there?
Just insert. We're going to work on it.
Wait. I didn't. No.
No. Control Z.
That's right.
I'm going to come up here so I can see what he's doing.
Provide a regional plan.
Regional plan for Harris and surrounding counties. To provide a solution for flooding mitigation, for homeowners, businesses, civic, organizations in Harris and surrounding counties.
Homeowners, businesses, and civic organizations for Harris and surrounding counties.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to work on this a little bit more. You need to fix your typo on surrounding.
Okay. Wait, did you want the rest of that deleted? No, put it back.
Control Z and fix surrounding.
Okay. We'll fix the typos.
Okay. And you need to change the, you're talking about boosting the tax burden of Harris.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
After surrounding counties, you want to bridge over to legislator assembly?
Right. Legislative. Instead of legislators, put legislation shall be, instead of legislators, change it to legislation.
You're right.
It was the next word.
Yeah, it's right there.
Legislation shall be enacted at the state and federal level to ensure public safety. I know. For all citizens impacted by the recent flooding for the last 3 years. Okay, now strike for the last 3 years. And then to resist requests from public office owners.
To leave that in. Do you want to strike, to resist, or leave it in?
No, to strike that.
Strike it. Can you just put a strike over it?
Just do a strike through.
Wait, how far do you want him to strike through?
Strike through until, to the word until.
Up through officials. Right here.
Right, strike through there.
So from to resist all the way to the word officials.
Right.
Stricken. No, all the way down the last line.
Right.
The beginning, there you go.
Yeah, do a strike
Strike through on that.
Okay, until there is official and lengthy vetting by residents of such proposals and approval by state and federal, county, state, and federal officials. I'm rewriting this, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
County, state, and federal officials.
That it?
That's pretty good for now.
Is there a second to this amendment?
Want me to read it?
It would change it to read, tell me if this is correct. Resolved that the Harris County Republican Party also urges Harris County, state, and federal government authorities to provide a regional plan for Harris and surrounding counties to provide a solution for flooding mitigation for homeowners, businesses, and civic organizations for Harris and surrounding counties. Legislation shall be enacted at the state and federal level to ensure public safety for all citizens impacted by the recent flooding for the last 3 years until there is a lengthy and thorough vetting by residents of such proposals and approval by county, state, and federal officials. Is there a second for this? Beth Aiken seconds. Would you like to speak to your amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I need to have a point of order.
Yes.
Or question to set this aside and set it aside and let the one of the committees review this for the next.
Are you moving to postpone indefinitely?
Right.
Yes. Is there a second? Second, postpone indefinitely. Dennis Griffith. Okay. Postman definitely is out of order at this moment, but a motion to refer this to a committee is in order.
Can I make a motion to refer this to a committee, sir?
Yes. Second by Daniel Caldwell. And that is debatable. Do you want to speak to this, Mr. Hotze?
I believe this appears to be a very complex thing that we need to hear a number of voices on and have some people have an opportunity to study this. And this isn't pressing that it has to happen tonight. Although we'd like to make progress in this, I think the committee method would be better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Does somebody speak against the motion to refer?
A point of order. This coming Thursday morning, the Northwest Management District is finally getting the Harris County Flood Control to come to the old Inwood Forest.
Okay, that's you're debating right now. Yeah. You're debating. So is there someone to speak against the amendment? I'm sorry, the motion referred. Matthew Bernstein.
Precinct 178. I lost everything I owned in this flood. I lost all the work that I had done since I was 20 years old. And I carried my daughter, who was 9 months old, out in a bathtub through water moccasins and feces and garbage. And I would really appreciate it if the people here today would give 5 minutes to vote for this resolution. Thank you.
Okay, so someone to speak in favor of the motion to refer? Favor of the motion to Jim Hotze's motion to refer this to a committee? Alice Reckwick.
I understand how the gentleman feels. I've been in the houses, working the houses in Kingwood. We were devastated. However, I do not want to pass just anything. I am not happy with Austin, not happy with the governor, not happy with the lieutenant governor. The only person that came to Kingwood with boots on the ground was Senator Ted Cruz, who walked the area. Nobody else. We had our state senator, our state rep, and the Democrat mayor. They were out there, and Dave Martin, my city councilman. But everyone else was flying around in airplanes or helicopters, and the people on the ground, and we were helping them. We're in all of these flooded houses with nobody caring. We had everybody in Kingwood. I don't know one person in Kingwood that didn't help in that flood.
Okay, your time's up. You're speaking in favor of the motion. Now, someone to speak against the motion?
We need to do this right. I'm not going to vote on just words because that's what they want. I want this.
Okay, that's enough then. Someone to speak against the motion to refer? Kelly Horsley?
I think we have enough time to...
John Randall? I'm sorry.
John
speaking
Randall,
against the motion to refer?
I am speaking against the referral, yes. John Randall, Precinct 383. I came here to do what I was elected to do, and that is to decide issues like this one and so on. I don't think there's anybody in this room that thinks this is a bad idea. There may be some things about it you'd like to change, but this is the best chance we have to do something about these runaway politicians and their thought that they can do whatever they damn well pleased. So I would be against stopping our talk tonight, finish this off, and go from there. Thank you.
Okay, there's one more speaker in favor of the motion to refer. Anyone else want to speak in favor of the motion to refer? Okay, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favor of referring this resolution to a committee say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay. I want a standing vote, please.
Slow down. Let's try it one more time. All those in favor of referring to this resolution to committee say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. All right, let's do standing. You don't need to count. Just everybody stand. Precinct chairs, please get in your positions. Sergeant at Arms, let me know when you think everybody's got seated. If you'll have a chance to get seated, please. Okay, because we're going to do a standing vote, so you want to be seated. So this is, again, the motion to refer this resolution concerning flooding. All those in favor of referring this to a committee, please stand. All right, be seated. All those opposed to referring this to a committee, please stand. I think the ayes have it. The nays were very loud, but the ayes have it. So, the resolution is referred to a committee. We determined with that resolution is now not passed and reserved referred to a committee for further action. Any other new business? I hear Jim McSpadden recognize motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor of adjourning say aye. Ayes have it. Motion adjourned. Thank you all very much.